how we perceive the market needs through our own lens, right? Often it's not the reality. It's hard to find a service provider who is fully transparent. And in a world where there's so many solutions, so many service providers, competition is strong, it's very common for consumers to feel quite jaded and feel very
more skeptical.
Yeah, skeptical. That the skepticism is very high.
Right.
Yeah, so all the more I think we have to protect the values that make us trustable as fiercely as possible. So there's this Chinese quote.
Philosophy.
Not really, just a Chinese quote that I learned from a business coach. He said, 方向大致正确，眼中要有光，心中要有梦，脚下要有力。So your direction is roughly correct. In your eyes, you must have fire. Your fighting spirit must be there. In your heart, you must have dreams. You must have big ambition. And under your feet, you must have strength. You must take action. You must move. You can't be stagnant.
Feels like a Yongchun.
Yeah. And my entire personality is revolving around all this kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I first time here also, guys. I like the quote.
Yeah.
Out of these three, which one's the most important?
Most important thing is the legs.
Why?
So I read this book. It says that the state of maintenance is always more beneficial than the state of trying to fight inertia. Just like in gym, right? If let's say you have a routine of going to the gym, your next session will always be easier. But if you're trying to restart something, the inertia is very strong.
Right.
Even if you're walking in the wrong direction, you can still make a U-turn because you're already in a walking state. But if you're not even moving, taking the first step will already be so difficult and so draining. You feel even more tired taking the first step than going in the wrong direction.
I agree. Have experienced similar experience.
Correct.
To move, then you think. Oh.
Exactly. So which ties back to my original sharing, which is to not deliberate unnecessarily.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now as you build Commerce the way today, it's really amazing. But what were the major mistakes that affected the business?
I'm thankful I did not make major wrong mistakes. Of course, there are things that I could have optimized much better. I can share what I wish I've done earlier, which is to delegate earlier. To train up people in a more systematic manner and to make my skills transferable at a much earlier stage. I think that would be, if I could turn back time, that would be one thing I really will do. I learned this recently. It's called choosing your heart. HARD, right? You heard of that before, right? It's
doing this is hard, doing that is hard. You gotta choose your heart, right?
Yeah, it's like if I think teaching my people how to replicate a certain kind of way I do things is difficult, but it's even more difficult if you want to scale. Right. So it's even more difficult when all the problems come back to you and you're the one that's being responsible for it. And then in the end, it feels like I'm just working for my team, not my team working with me. It's like I'm working very hard just to pay off the salary.
Right.
And everybody just comes back to me and say everything will just wait for Javin. Yeah.
It's like a very common mistake, right? For those that, because if you're the founder of business, naturally you kind of are the best in scale, and as a achiever,
correct.
Naturally you'll feel that doing it yourself is way faster.
It's the most efficient way. It's actually a problem that is very common amongst self-employed and also entrepreneurs.
Yeah, they feel that they can do it themselves. It's easier to do it myself. I can do it faster. I have the time.
Yeah.
I'm not maxed out yet.
Exactly.
You know?
But a friend of mine just told me that the way of you doing this is actually you're just playing not to lose, not to win. Yeah, you're just defending only. You're not really attacking.
Right. So how does attacking look like?
So you need to know which is the area that you'll bring the most value in. Is it strategy or is it execution? Is it marketing? Is it the groundwork? I've been wearing all the hats in the company for too long, and I know what drains me the most. Administrative stuff is my weakest part. Building a system is also not my strength. I always find the fastest way to do things, but it may not be the most systematic way because my way of thinking is like that. So what I enjoy the most and what my strengths are will be product innovation, knowing what the customers are looking for next and coming up with the new innovation, new versions of product, marketing, strategizing. These are things that energize me. So moving forward, attacking will sound like I should focus on these things, and those things that I'm not good at and it's draining out a lot of my energy, I should then hire people who are good at this and replace these roles with people who are much better than me.
That's what you mentioned about dedication.
Yeah, and attack. Entrepreneurs tend to just look at themselves as a player, as one.
They have to be in the
they probably think that they're the captain or they're in the most important position, but then we don't see the big picture a lot of times. We get into the weeds and then we get sucked into the operations. So what I would want to achieve is to then pull myself out and become a coach instead, and then replace those roles with players that are much more talented and much better than me in that area. And then my role would then be to strategize, maximize their potential, incentivize them to the best of their ability.
Right. Then that's when you can focus on scaling.
And that will be winning the game.
So you're gonna put yourself out in time to come as a tailor.
I won't say tailor, but
Like you're rerunning the business more of like really good measure and
yeah, I think if I fail to transfer the skills to my trusted teammates, then I will also fail as an entrepreneur. I'm just at best a self-employed.
How do you differentiate these two?
It's like when I stop, then the business stopped.
Right.
I should build a team where things will continue to run without me. Just take Singapore's political body as an example. Like the passing of Lee Kuan Yew does not stop the cabinet from running, right?
Right.
Yeah, same goes for when the Prime Minister steps down. There's always a succession plan.
Right.
So I think we should always think about succession plan earlier. I didn't think of this at the start. I was just thinking about survival.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but now I think succession plan is important because by the time when you think of a successor, it'll be too late already.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight.
Exactly. I think the best time to think about it is when you don't need it, not when you need it, because you'll be desperate when you need it.
Right. Sounds like my job.
People can sense that desperation, and you don't have the luxury of choosing and grooming.
When you are desperate.
Mm.
Then for most other people, I mean, there are a lot of entrepreneurs nowadays, become a very sexy thing to do. Based on observation, what sets those that eventually succeed and those that don't?
Entrepreneurship really is not for everyone, lah.
Agree?
Yeah,
Agree.
right. Nothing wrong also if you are building somebody else's dream and you're flourishing in that aspect. There's really nothing wrong because it's needed in society as well.
Yes.
First, we must recognize what our strengths are, and it's not being entrepreneur means it's successful. Building somebody else's dream and playing to your best strengths is also very successful. In fact, a lot of times I envy my friends who are having a very solid, stable career.
Really? Why?
The weekends are theirs, right? The company's
Yes.
problems are not theirs.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are, I think to myself, like, oh, that was a great life.
Where you're at, everything is your problem.
Yeah,
Weekends
I mean,
are
on
not
the
yours.
the grass is always greener on the other side.
Right.
And my friends will say, like, you're doing well, etc. You get to have all this stuff,
Yes.
but they wouldn't want to share the problem that I have. Yeah, I think nobody will
100%.
want to share the kind of problem that I have, except for my wife. My wife is very supportive.
Shout out to Chanel.
Yeah. She's the best. So why some succeed, some don't? I don't think it's because they don't succeed. Maybe they found their calling in another area. Maybe they find that they're more suitable in another area. But if, let's say, they still really want to be an entrepreneur and that's what keeps them awake every day, but they did not succeed, I think maybe it's just the time is not right yet, whereby they did not persevere long enough. Or perhaps they try to do everything themselves. They try to be everywhere. They try to be everyone. And then the quality of decision becomes poor as well because they spread too thin. And I think I've been through that stage as well. Yeah. And I start to make like hasty decision because I'm spread too thin. And my replies become short, unclear to my teammates. And then misunderstandings happen. Or it could also be not being obsessed enough with what the values you are creating for your customers. Because at the end of the day, why people are buying you, engaging you is because you are creating a value for them, right? And if you're not obsessed enough about it, maybe the thing that you're making doesn't have a market at all. Or maybe the market for your product is too small for you.
Right. I heard this saying from someone, but he mentioned that today, if there's this great idea that you're the only person having it or wanting to do it, in today's society, that might not be a great thing because there are already a lot of new ideas that actually in the midst of doing it. So if the only one is either someone has done it and failed before or it's a bad idea to begin with. You agree with this?
I think so.
Why?
It's true that we are not the smartest people in the room.
Right.
Yeah. Whatever we can think of right now, I'm quite sure somewhere in the world someone has really thought about it, has tried it before. That person has started already, right?
Every business owner feel that I'm different, I can do it, 他做的没有我好.
Yeah. That's important though. And you need that kind of like naiveness.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise you will again deliberate too much. But knowing when this is not a suitable product, to be brutally honest with yourself is also very important. You can do that by having, an advisor, a mentor, or you can keep close friends who are always very honest with you. These are also very helpful. Sometimes people fail in entrepreneurship because they get too absorbed with their own technicality, what they feel that is the best, but they don't know whether the perceived value to them is equivalent to what the customer really is receiving.
I recently heard this quote by Mark Twain. Most people fail not by what they don't know. It's what they are so sure of, but it just ain't so.
Yeah. When I first started, right, I give you an example. I bought a lot of interesting shirt fabrics. I was so confident they were going to sell out. I bought like 20 rows of them. They're still in my warehouse. That was 10 years ago.
Have I sold them before?
no, because it's ugly. But when I first started, I was so sure. I said, this is going to be a banger. I'm sure this will sell out. I made the sample, I wore it, like nobody said it was nice.
Then,
Right.
but it's very fine line between, after all, like you mentioned at the start, when Common Suit was named Common Suit, there were people that also go against it, and you push through.
Yeah.
So when do you know when to push through?
Yeah.
And when do you know that, okay, they were right, this is not good?
Yeah. Okay, so the name Common Suits is because it's backed by my values. So that's things that I feel that's non-negotiable.
Right.
Right. Then comes to the technicality of choosing the right design. I'm not trained.
Right.
I'm just choosing things based on like what I think is nice.
Right.
So
But that's art, right?
yeah, but I think you have to be honest with yourself also, like what your strengths are. So I knew that wasn't my strength back then. I haven't developed that strength yet.
Right.
So being honest with myself, knowing what my strengths are, being very self-aware is also important. So you know when it's a bad decision and when it's a good decision. And put your ego out of the whole decision-making process. Yeah. Right. And then on the next season, you think about new collection again. Then you always aim to have a better sellout rate. And that's when you know you're improving. And then that's where you gain confidence slowly about your decision in a field that you were not good at and then you became better in. Yeah.
Okay. How do you define that there was actual value delivered?
There are a few ways of looking at it. Number one is you can benchmark against the market standards, right? Just like property, there's always a PSF standard based on that area. Same for menswear, there's always like a competition standard, like what the market is offering, and then how many % can you do it better. Maybe my buttons became better, my buttonholes became nicer, my canvas becomes lighter, my cut becomes more flattering, I get better suppliers, my turnaround time maybe shrink from like say 3 months to 2 months. And then my measurement process becomes more precise. There's more measurements now in check. The checklist becomes longer. And every
1% tweak.
Yeah, correct. Every department, you have a 1% improvement. You add it up, it's going to be a cumulative thing.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the end result improvement is not just a summation, but I think it's going to be a compounding effect. Yeah, because one leads to another. You have better measurements process. That leads to lesser refits. That leads to faster turnaround time. And then that leads to better communication between your internal team. And then your customers get more confidence. They're going to refer more people. You see, the whole entire chain is a compounding effect at the end of the day. If you do every department right, better by 1%.
That is very wise. So that is the value. But for people who just start, they won't have that value, because like you said, they don't know. So when you say deliver value, is it what we talked about earlier, which is the...
At the start of your journey where you cannot deliver technical value because you're not trained yet, then can you be more punctual than other people? Can you go the extra mile for them? Can you work longer hours? Can you do more research and value add your services? Say, for example, selling suits, can that service extend further beyond that? At the start of my career, I did this. A customer of mine, he was getting married in St. Regis, and then he didn't know how to button his double-breasted because it's the first time wearing a double-breasted.
Right.
So I said, it's okay, bro, I'll come down now. So I went down to his wedding, go to his dressing room, teach him how to button up, and then also brought sewing kit in case the button became loose. I do it on the spot. Yeah. So these are things that
much foresight.
No, not foresight. Just to be careful.
I mean,
and
most people would
prepared,
just let's say they perhaps would have just went down and button. But you actually thought of different scenarios, which that's really important.
So that's value creation, right? So even if the button did not come up, but at least you brought that thing there. They know that, okay, you're prepared. I know that this guy can be trusted. So maybe I'm not the best tailor in town, but I am the person that has the best interest for him at heart. So that's differentiating already, right? That itself is differentiating.
Right.
Rather than like, say, it's just very easy. Go YouTube and find how to button your suit. Could have done that also. Yeah. But that's why I told my teammates also, like, always treat your customers very preciously. I'm not saying that it's 100% score, but we always do our best to remind ourselves and always do that for our customers. Another inspiration I got from one of my customers who's became a good friend of mine, he said, set world-class standards for yourself. If the president comes in to meet you today at your shop, will you be proud of the standards you're giving to the president? So set world-class standards. I think that was very helpful in helping me to transform how I wanted Telok Ayer to look different from Club Street. Even the way that we present our clothes, the speech, the words that we use, the scent that we have in the shop. Yeah.
My life testimony of it, I experienced the whole thing from the beginning till now. And fun fact, everything that 1% that he's mentioning, right, I experienced it because now his buttons is new. It's
the $1 coin of Singapore. So yes, the outline of that $1 coin of Singapore.
Yes.
It's a very subtle message to show that we're a Singaporean brand. And it's also a same history that Singapore came from nothing and became somebody in a global stage. It constantly reminds us of our humble beginnings, and I think Common Suits has that. Hopefully, in the future, we also will reach a global stage just as what Singapore did.
I believe it's on the way.
Hope
Yeah.
so.
Oh, you're 4 countries already, so that's great.
Yeah.
And fun fact, this suit I'm wearing is the latest version, and I have the old one still. And when I wear it on, you'll see a difference. Some of my suits that with him is 10 years of mileage, and every 1% really, really translated to the different result today. So I think that's really, really amazing. So, what's your lifetime goal for Komosu right now? Like where you're at?
I think I'm at a stage where I'm realizing that the business is not me. To separate myself from the business, and the definition of success is not Common Suits anymore. Yeah, it's, if you look at the bigger picture, if one day I'm no longer around this world, will my story continue to inspire people and to bring again value to people's lives? And also, what would I want my descendants next time to say and talk about me when I'm no longer around? And also, perhaps another young budding entrepreneur who read my story, and maybe that ignite a little fire in him, and then he continue to bring value to the world, then I'll be very happy, because then me being just a entrepreneur in a very niche market actually had influence in other aspect of the world, because maybe my humble story of mine inspired somebody. I think that'll be a goal lah. Yeah. And as for Common Suits, of course, we hope that we'll continue to do Singapore proud and bring it to an international stage, and continue to innovate and come up with a product that really belongs to the equator climate, so that the rest of the world will say, now there's Italian tailoring, there's British tailoring, there's American tailoring, and then there's also Southeast Asian tailoring.
Which is Common Suit.
Maybe not Common Suits, but perhaps we are just like, the one that's the first that are associated with that. Yeah, probably the first few who start thinking about this and start marketing it that way. Yeah.
Nice.
That would be for Common Suit.
So, just like you mentioned about the market is bigger than everything. From starting until now, what was the price difference of the best suit you sold now versus in the past?
In the past, the first suit I sold outside of NUS is $300.
Okay.
And the most expensive suit I've sold right now is $35,000. Yeah.
And most people have that doubt of, can price so high, man? Can I?
You remember the 1% theory?
Right.
If every department you're creating more value, I think that makes it more justifiable.
Right.
And then second thing is you got to benchmark against the market. Just like investment, you always, like, if you want to invest in Coca-Cola, you look at Pepsi as well, right? So if I'm going to be selling $3,000 for my suit, then I have to look at, how does a $3,000 suit look like in a market? What kind of material they're using? How does it feel on the body? How does it look when you're wearing it? And then you dissect out into different small details again. And can you then win in every of all these segments? Then you can choose your battle. Like some you can just make it on par, some you can do it better. And then if overall the score is better than what the market is offering, and yet you're still selling at the same price, then isn't it value really?
Right. And just I mentioned about world-class standard. Sometimes most of the newer people, when they either do business or they do self-employed, they'll have this rejection that gives them a bit of leeway to why they don't have to do world-class standard, And what do you have for this group?
I think it's an attitude issue. You can either look at it as like, he's there, that's why he can say all this kind of thing. Or you can look at it as that, so he took 10 years, I want to take 5 years. It's just the same coin but different side only.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you chose to be the more positive person and to approach this with like a stronger fighting spirit, then this serves as like a ignition rather than like, you can say all this cause is like that, I'm not there yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a bit like what Brian Tracy shared before is, don't earn your first $1 million, then you become a millionaire. But you first behave like a millionaire first, then you can earn your first $1 million.
Kinda.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I asked a lot of questions now. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So reverse, do you have any questions for me?
So you are actually quite successful for your age.
Okay.
Right? I've met a lot of financial planners in my field, but you've always constantly tried to break through by finding your own niche, like in investment field, giving your clients tips, and then also forming this kind of podcast series to create value for people. So what is the top thing that made you actually achieve your current success at a young age compared to your peers?
Thing.
Yeah.
I didn't came from a rich family.
Exactly.
So I always had so-called like envies towards some people. And I started to question, why do I have to envy someone else? If eventually I can become that person. And then I think that started to give me that first thought that I want to become that person that my younger self would look up to, or my younger self would trust. And then after that, the first change was also my family situation. So long story short, my parents got separated, and then I didn't want to pursue uni as well. I've never believed that a degree would be the make or break because I'm only a diploma holder. So I wanted to explore. And then, long story short, a friend of mine approached me to join the business. That gave me the first hope and ideation that, hey, what I thought is possible is actually possible. Yeah, so I wanted to do that to support my mom, and of course, to prove a point. I think with my childhood, my background, I always wanted to prove a point, be it to myself or the people around me. Yeah. So that actually pushed me through a lot, and that actually ignite everything that whatever you said is quite relevant, which is I keep pushing that 1% grow. I keep growing and growing. Like, growth become a very obsessed thing to myself. If I don't grow, I'll feel very uncomfortable. So that actually propelled me a lot. Even today also, this whole podcast series and everything, even to how I retain my clients and all that stuff, I'm constantly looking for new inspiration on how can I push that different 1%. That till today still stays. Yeah. But of course the motivation will change up because family is better. My mom is better. It's a different pursuit.
Alright. So it's the obsession of growth.
Yes.
That actually kept you always being at the forefront.
Yeah.
I think quite similar.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same thing. When I was younger also came from also very similar background as you, very humble, and I wanted to really separate myself from that situations and lift up the quality of life for my family.
Yes.
That was really the driving factor. But yeah, that changed also, as you mentioned, right? As your conditions became better and all, then how do you continue to keep that fire in you if, let's say, the reasons that propelled you initially were already no longer the reasons?
Life just hits you in every area possible. You'll reach a point that it's no longer monetary anymore.
Yeah.
You know, money can only push you that far. You know, I'm not saying that I'm super rich, but the truth is, you need to have something bigger than money. If not, we'll really reach a plateau one. You'll reach a plateau, for sure. Yeah, so I think life events make me fight for a deeper reason beyond money. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, bro. Okay, so we've come to the end of this episode. And once again, he's Javin from Commonsuit. His address is at Telok Ayer. If you walk past, it's near the MRT. And you see a really, really nice tailor shop. Don't doubt it, it's his.
122 Telok Ayer.
Yes, and I promise you with my reputation that everything that he promised to deliver in, from advisory to suit to being a friend, to being a very good brother is, you won't be disappointed. And I hope you guys learned a lot from his values today. I learned a lot as well. And if you are thinking of starting a business or being self-employed in a brand new field, hopefully this episode will give you more confidence and insight of how to maneuver your first 3 years. And then after that, you take care of yourself. With that, I will see you in the next episode and take care. Bye.
Bye.